My name is Andre Prue. I'm the Vice President of Revenue Operations here at Vena. What Vena is essentially we sell into the suite of finance, and our whole goal is to make their lives easier. Through FP&A planning strategy, we will help those teams take what would take them sometimes hours and weeks down to seconds. So rather than them looking at how to process data, find data, clean data, do all the modeling, we do all that for them in a very high-end AI way, and then allow them to actually work on strategy, make decisions, and use the data versus simply trying to get the data. Why CaliberMind? So we're a fast-scaling startup. We're about 14 years old, but scaling quite aggressively year over year. And especially on the marketing side, a few years ago, we had a lot of different things we just didn't know the answers to. Our guts told us the right things. Events do really well. We think these are very top of funnel type digital campaigns do well. I think content's performing well, but we had a very, I'll call it old school single touch attribution model that, hey, whatever created the lead gets 100% of the credit. And I think we as go-to-market professionals know that's never the case, especially in a decently high-priced software, as well as decently long sales cycles. A lot of things are happening, and so we really brought in CaliberMind originally to really look at our full funnel, and so we know, okay, as an example, yes, we know that lead came in from a paid search. But we now also know that they came in through LinkedIn and surfed around for a while first. We know they downloaded this white paper, viewed this video, then became a lead, and then went through our sales cycle. But during our sales cycle, we know they went to this event. We know they downloaded this white paper. We know it wasn't just that single person, because a lead, don't forget, is just one person. We know those 4 or 5 other people in the account were doing this. So we can give our full funnel and the full journey appropriate credit and really know what's working, what's not. Because in some cases, some events aren't working. And so we can make that decision and say, okay, these events are not working. However, these events over here, they're working quite well, particularly at, let's say, a post-opportunity stage. So now the goal becomes very different in terms of who we go after, why we go after them, when we go after them, and eventually what messages we go after them. So that was the original use case for CaliberMind and Vena. We do run a very event-heavy strategy. And so we do look at things such as, okay, different series of events are doing very differently in very different parts of the funnel, whether it's even new logo or expansion, where are these really coming on? And so the investment in those, particularly not just dollars and cents, but particularly when you get into manpower, which is critical, that's really where we lean heavily and say, okay, what is performing and why? We know they actually work quite well for us over time. And so we don't, it's very, very rare we go to a trade show or something like that and say, okay, we got a lead, but we'll certainly close that tomorrow. We find those ones, if they're at a trade show, find out about us, they're probably a year, maybe 2 years away. But we now have them. We now can start putting them in nurture and everything great like that. But it's even something like a CaliberMind type platform where it's hey, we know where you came from. You may have had over 2 years 28 different touches, but we know where we found you and we know what happened, and now we can put it all together. So definitely in terms of where we're investing on certain campaigns, where we're cutting things off, where we're even looking at larger cases. So a very live example is we have a academy, which many SaaS providers do. We had at one point in time sort of 2 divisions of the academy, one sort of more training is classic when you come back on and we'll get training going. And we had more of a marketing spin of more, okay, now what you can do with this and more emotional intelligence stuff and all that kind of stuff. Without CaliberMind, we wouldn't be able to see course by course what's actually happening afterwards. Where now we can say, you know what, definitely the training type stuff is critical, and we know as common sense would tell you a little bit, but now we have the data behind it, is those clients that train more, early days, are multi-threaded, all that kind of stuff, will renew higher rates, will expand at a higher rate. The more marketing-led type stuff, which was more engagement style, turns out didn't really do a lot. Had a decent amount of attendance, but in terms of what happened to those accounts longer term, really didn't move the needle. So we can make definitely change, because there's a lot of headcount involved in that, change of what people were focusing on, change in certainly some dollars and cents of what we focused on. Things like that we would never know. We'd be guessing and be honest, making it up a little bit if we didn't have a model like CaliberMind saying, here's where your revenue is coming from. Here's the touch points that matter. Here's the touch points that drive a little bit of engagement maybe, but don't really matter. And going from there. Understanding who is your real buying group and how's that evolving over time, because ours certainly is. And then that then affects top of funnel. So where are our ads going, into who? What are they saying? From the sales team side of where are they going after the multi-thread? What content are we developing to touch different personas that maybe we didn't really think of that much even a year or two ago? It's those types of exposures at the full account level versus just purely a contact level. That's where one of the strengths is too, that we rely on that data. If we were to look 2 years ago, what personas we're buying, and we know for a fact that, depending on the size of the company, CFO would be there, controllers, FP&A directors, and that's who we sell to. That's our bucket. That's still true. That hasn't changed. We sell in the suite of finance, so that's the suite of finance we love it, know and love. But as I'm sure a lot of software companies are experiencing, as things have gotten a lot more stringent, as the buying process got that much more complicated, there's a lot more eyeballs on every dollar spent. Now we're seeing, and we wouldn't have seen this before, is where is IT coming in and when and at what focus point? Where is purchasing coming in? Where is potentially operations coming in? And looking at those types of things and be able to form the sales teams that, actually the CFO is actually coming into the selling process significantly more often than it did 2 years ago. You need a multi-thread in the CFO, and here's why. It's those types of insights for sure they're now gaining. If you don't have an IT contact, you better get an IT contact, because they are now in it, whether you know it or not. They're in it, or if it's very rare they're not. And so again, it's just being able to develop that new selling motion through that type of information, knowing that as scrutiny comes more and more prevalent through every dollar spent in renewals and expansions, we have a very seasoned sales team here who have been around for a few years. If they don't adapt, we see it in the numbers. So this type of insights that CaliberMind provides really allows us to give them the data to adapt to what they do as well. And that's really where we think some of the magic is. A big thing we're putting a lot of thought into right now is there's still things we can't measure. I'll give you an example is we have a very popular podcast. That's very difficult to measure. And so it's really that podcast is really focused on CFOs. And so really where we can want to start try taking things is that we get great causal information. We don't have a lot of correlational information, which sometimes we need to not prove things out, but to make sure we're going on the right road. So if we say, let's say, we know we launched the CFO podcast called the CFO Show in October 2023. What happened to our audience then? And what we can say through more, and it's correlational, not causal, but that's where we can go down the roads of it and expand from there, is we know the volume of CFOs that are now in our deal cycles went up about 17% month over month after that launch. Does that prove absolutely that was cause and effect? No, but enough things start happening where we can say, we're investing a lot of money and time and effort into these, and they're fantastic. That's great. great brand awareness, all that kind of stuff. But now you're seeing sort of a different buyer, and it's not going to be just because of that, but you can start saying there's enough proof that we can keep on going. And so when we get it more into heavier PR flows, heavier into right now we struggle, I think, as everybody does today, hopefully not tomorrow, in what's AI driven search looking like. And so therefore, if we go much harder into a platform like Reddit, and yes, we can get the direct Reddit stuff, but can we get the stuff that AI is picking up from Reddit and driving it away? It's those type of things where we really need a thick data set and complete data set that CaliberMind provides to start making those. It's going to say funny because obviously it's a data heavy company. It makes those decisions we don't have enough data for at least directionally solid. And so it's that correlational support that we're starting to really say, okay, things that quote unquote were not measurable, can we start putting some sort of measurement to it with at least a certain percentage of confidence? A lot of what we've learned through things through CaliberMind wasn't shocking. There's some details that definitely, but it wasn't, oh, we didn't know that was working. In our guts, we knew it was working. We knew that, if a win has 10 touches, probably a loss has 4 touches. And that kind of stuff turned out true. We knew events were working, we just weren't able to quantify that. But with that knowledge, you can really start building the case of where you need to invest, where you need to invest more at the board level, i.e. we can talk to our board, and I think not rare, but not popular either, is year over year, we generally get an increase in marketing funding because we can prove stuff out. We can say, this is what's working, this is what's not. And so having that knowledge, having that data in your back pocket, being able to say, okay, we can do a small budget increase, but we think we'll only get this much more out of it. If you're fine with that, let's go. Or we can do this much and we'll get this much more out of it. And be able to make those sometimes not, obviously never 100% bullseye, but be able to have that really good compass versus a map to be saying, okay, compass wise, I know where I'm going because I have that knowledge. If, let's say, you just use your CRM and you have that first touch, last much, whatever model you're using, you don't have that, and you're going to be guessing a lot, and probably about 50% of the time, 60% of the time you're guessing right. It's that other 10%, 20% that you're guessing wrong on that really makes a difference between A, success and not probably, but 2, getting that new budget or getting slashed. And so that's really where that knowledge and that ability to really build your case comes in. With a larger picture of how do you grow and scale as a company, this is where this type of platform comes in.